Hello, today I have a story for you that is at the same time a success story and also the story of an unwanted manifestation. What happened was that one of my cats, I used to have three until, this May actually, one of my three cats, my youngest one, the 14-year-old now, I started seeing something weird on his tongue about 2 years ago. I took him to the vet. And the vet told me, it was obvious that he would have a tumor on his tongue. Yeah, prognosis was not very good. They told me it doesn't look good. However, his blood works were all fine, and they advised me to get the surgery. However, they already tried to prepare me that tumor in the cat's mouth are not really good. It's like an 80% chance of cancer. And this is the video in which I tell you how I manifested it not being cancer. But it got even worse. After the surgery, the doctor told me, he looked at the tumor and it wouldn't look good at all. They sent it in for an autopsy, of course, and I had to wait for the result. They already tried to prepare me that it would not look good and that tumors in cat's mouth, especially on the tongue, are usually very aggressive type of cancer. They couldn't tell me how much longer I would have with him, if it were like a couple of months or maybe even if I'm lucky up to a year. So it was quite dire, right? However, what I did is after the surgery, or even a start before that, I don't remember, I created a scene. It was a visualization, not one with pictures, but one with sound. If you cannot visualize well, you can use other techniques where you hear something instead. So I had this little scene that I created where I was sitting on my couch and the vet called me and he told me, "We have good news for you. The tumor is benign." So I was very careful not to use the word cancer because that's not what I wanted, and I didn't want to focus on the word cancer. So I focused on the words tumor is benign, and I also used law of assumption. And part of my short scene was, congratulations, we're very happy to tell you the tumor was benign. And cats who have that specific kind of tumor, they grow really extra old. So that was my short scene. So I just visualized myself, my cell phone ringing, answering the phone, and then I had a short conversation with the vet or the helper of the vet, and then I played that scene over and over and over again for a couple of days, basically, whenever I thought about it. And I just took my time and just played that scene over and over and over. What then happened was that I felt this strong feeling of relief, and sometimes I actually started crying out of happiness because I felt so relieved that my little boy was going to be okay. I believe it was like 2 days after surgery in the evening. I didn't expect them to call anymore. It was probably around 8 p.m. or something like that. I finally got the call from the vet, and they told me that the tumor actually was benign. So that was really good news. Oh, what I forgot to say is there was another scare. So I saw one tumor at the tip of the tongue, and during this surgery he has this disease cats often have where teeth need to be removed. So we actually had an appointment to have some teeth removed and a tumor. During the surgery, they called me and they told me that there were 2 more tumors at the back of his tongue that they didn't see before. So all of a sudden it was not 1 tumor, it was 3 tumors. And that, of course, did not look good at all. We did the x-ray before the surgery to see if there's any metastasis, is that the right word, any other tumors in his body, and there weren't any. However, it turned out to be 3 tumors on his tongue. So it looks like it had metastasized. I'm sorry, English is not my native language, but I guess you know what I mean. Oh my God, I was crying so much after the vet called me because I knew that does not look good. Like I just said, I did create my little scene, and then when the vet called, we got the good news. The tumors, all of them, of course, were benign. After I took him in for the checkup, after we already knew it wasn't cancer, the vet told me that, yeah, there's an 80% chance for it to be cancer if it's in a cat's mouth. However, that vet, and it was like a tiny vet hospital, I don't know, they do surgery on a daily basis, and especially they take out tumors of animals, so they're very well experienced when it comes to that. And the vet told me that in all of her years, and I estimate she was like in her 15s, she never ever heard or encountered a cat who had a tumor on the tongue that was benign. Never. So his chance for it to be not cancer was practically 0%, not 20, it was 0. And that case was so rare that the doctor told me she actually called other doctors to talk about this rare case. And yeah, so his chances were very, very, very slim for it not to be cancer. However, I did it. The tumor was benign. The first one, he's the first cat my vet ever heard about that had a benign tumor on his tongue. I told you this was at one part a success story, and the success story is that my cat didn't have cancer. It was one wanted manifestation, my cat having a benign tumor. But then there was an unwanted manifestation as well, because I made a mistake. After the result came in, what I should have done is then step on the gas and manifest, his tongue is healthy, his tongue is healthy, he's doing fine, his tongue is healthy. But I didn't do that. I was like, okay, it's fine now. Even though the vet told me, yeah, must be some rare autoimmune disease for him to grow tumors on the tongue. So autoimmune disease already implies it would come back. And that is actually what happened. So I manifested benign tumor, which was in that case good news at first. However, I manifested benign tumor. So yeah, it came back. Like half a year later, I saw this tiny spot on his tongue, and it grew bigger very slowly, which also implies that it's not cancer, or wasn't cancer. And yeah, then 1.5 years later, like very recently, this August actually, it was so big it had to be removed again. I didn't want it to remove it right away, because in the beginning I saw it didn't really bother him. And he is 14 now, so he is basically a senior. And for me it was like, okay, I have to make sure that I don't do narcosis too often, surgery too often, it's not good for his body. But then at the same time find a spot where, okay, now the tumor has to get out. And he started having some trouble eating, and he's eating like canned food but also dried food. He's eating both. He likes both. And he gets dried food because my other boy only ate dried food ever since he came to me. I got him from the animal shelter, and it didn't matter what kind of canned food or fresh foods or meat I offered him. He always looks at me like I want to poison him, so he only eats dry food, and the other one he eats both. But it kept falling out of his mouth, so I realized, okay, now it's the time to get it out. And the thing is, I actually couldn't afford that surgery. The first one, it cost over 1,000 euros. I did manifest that money though. I was scripting to have the surgery happen, and just a couple of days later I actually inherited 2,000 euros by a relative I didn't even know. I mean, I knew she existed, but I hadn't seen her since I was like 3 years old. So yeah, the money for that surgery came, we had it done. And now, of course, it is my job to manifest his tongue being healthy, and benign tumor was a good manifestation when there was like 100% chance it would be cancer. But afterwards I should have deleted that order to the universe, because that made it come back. I ordered a benign tumor, so he actually had 2 this time that had to be removed. And now, yeah, we are creating healthy tongue, right? He's sleeping. He's sitting or lying right in front of me on the couch sleeping. The other thing with my other cat, my girl, when you're wondering, well, you just told us she died, why didn't you manifest anything there? To be honest, I didn't see that coming. I only had one dog before living with my parents, and she was a beautiful all white Siberian husky girl. She turned to be 15 and a half years, so quite old. In the end, we could see that she had pain, standing. She was shaking. That is why we had to put her down. Unfortunately, she was an old lady, and she was clearly in pain, so it was time to let her go. But that's how you picture an old pet, right? They're weak, they act like they're old. However, my girl, she was 17 years old. She's been with me for 15 and a half years approximately. She was acting all normal, just still climbing to the highest spot on her, scratching trees, and she was all active. Well, I mean, when they're older, they get a little bit more sleepy. They're not as active as when they're young, that's obvious. But she was still very agile and, could climb the highest part of the tree. And she was acting completely normal till one day she ate a little less. And she still ate when I gave her something, but she ate less, and I noticed. And I was like, okay, I'm going to observe that for a couple of days. That may have been like a Friday or Thursday. I noticed, I don't remember. By Monday, I had a vet come over. I didn't want to take her to a vet because of all of that stress. Fortunately, there's now vets that come home. That's quite new, I believe, in my area. And she had a checkup. And the doctor said, well, she's in good overall health. It's probably like a gastritis. Is that the right word? Like an infection in her stomach. So nothing too serious. I got medicine for her. That was on a Monday. And then the next couple of days, she still ate less. And she was hiding more. I noticed that. I was like, okay, she's probably stressed because there was a vet here. Now I have to give her this medication, which she doesn't like. Then she was eating less. I noticed that. And on Wednesday, she was even hiding more. And whenever I gave her something, she took like a bite or two. And I got her special food because she liked it more like, like cat soup. She didn't like chunks anymore. So I bought her that. And I was just like, okay, she seems to be a little stressed. It's just a gastritis, right? But then on Thursday, I got up and she was on the top of her tree again and acting all normal. And when on Wednesday she was hiding, on Thursday she was again laying in her favorite spot. So I was like, okay, finally getting better now. But then on Friday, she was weak and she didn't really eat anymore. She refused to eat. And she was not hiding, but laying in weird spots, and she was weak. And on Friday evening, I decided, okay, if it's not better tomorrow, I'm going to call the vet again. And on Friday, I took her again. We cuddled a little, but she wanted to be left alone. I now know many dying cats. Either they want to cuddle even more, or they just want to be alone. And she was never a big cuddler. My boys are big cuddlers. She never was a big cuddler. We did, of course, but not as much as the boys. And on Saturday morning, first thing I did was go look for her, because my cats sleep in the living room. Try to sleep with 3 cats in the bedroom, and I always have to sleep with my door closed. So they sleep together in the living room ever since I had 3 of them. But when I found her, she was already cold. So I, of course, then did a little research, and she had all of the signs of like a dying pet. They stop eating when they're dying. And I read a lot of articles, and it said they don't die because they don't eat. They stop eating because they're dying. And so it was a natural death. I mean, the vet said she is in good overall health. So that I really didn't see coming. I mean, I noticed her not eating, and I didn't manage to stay on a mental diet then, because I was worried. I was observing it, and my heads were circling around that. Minnie's not eating. She's not eating. What can I do to get her to eat? So, yeah, I just didn't see that coming, because it all happened like within maybe a little more than just a week. And yeah, that's why I called the vet, and I was told, yeah, it's nothing serious. So she wasn't sick. She was never sick. But I guess her time to go just had come, and it caught me by surprise. So that is why I couldn't or didn't manifest another outcome. Trying to, my other boy, he is 19 now, so I'll of course try to manifest him being healthy and old. But I do see him being old, and turned a little skinny. Old cats often lose some muscle weight, and so I'm just trying to have him be happy and grow old. Anyway, that is my video on how I manifested my cat not having cancer, even though the odds were absolutely against that. And then unfortunately I manifested a tumor to come back, because I had manifested benign tumor, and afterwards I did not switch it to healthy tongue. So this is what I'm manifesting now, and wish me luck. So that I still have a couple more years with my good boy, right? Anyway, I hope this video helped you. So yes, you can manifest stuff like that to happen as well. You can turn something around. Even if you already got a negative diagnosis, you can still turn it around. And I just recorded a video, I believe yesterday or a couple of days ago, I don't exactly remember, about shifting timelines, shifting bodies. You might be interested in that, where I talk more about when we shift into a parallel universe or change timelines, we don't take our body. Body already exists in that timeline, and it's just our consciousness that changes into the other body, which would explain sudden healings, for example. So if you're interested in that video, check it out. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I do see you in a personal coaching or in another video. Until then, I do wish you all the best now. Bye-bye.